Hi, I'm Lee. I use they, them pronouns, and this is another episode of Navigating Cancer. It has been a long time since I posted a video here, and this one is long overdue, and a lot has happened. The last time I talked to you, I had just rung the bell in the chemo center. I finished my chemo. I was having all negative results on my labs, and I had moved into a phase where I had seen myself shifting from healing from cancer to healing from chemotherapy. So I'm going to give you an update on how things have been going because it has been a lot. So I know in that last video I talked a lot about my experience with neuropathy and how I was experiencing just some weird numbness, maybe a little tingling, and how for some people after chemo, the neuropathy goes away after a few months. For some it doesn't. And unfortunately for me, it did not. I waited 1 to 3 months, no improvement. Not only did it not go away, it got worse. It progressed from just an odd numbness to an actual experience of intense pain, just in a resting state. My fingertips just have sort of a burning, throbbing feeling, as well as sort of an ongoing tingling sensation. And when I try to use my fingertips, if I tap them on a surface, tap them on a keyboard, hold a pen or a pencil to write with, try to build with Legos, try to crochet, play a piano, play a guitar, play a board game, move the pieces around, put a puzzle together, all of the things that require applying pressure with my fingertips, or especially tapping with my fingertips or clicking things together with my fingertips. The harder the pressure and the more repetitive clicking or pressing, the more painful, and the repetitiveness just builds the pain up really fast. In the process of having the pain come up, I've had to navigate okay, so maybe the neuropathy isn't gonna just go away on its own. What are my options? And so I've seen a neurologist, spoken with numerous different doctors, tried a variety of different medications. There's not actually any real known cure for healing nerve damage. I've also been doing all kinds of research around different types of assistive or adaptive devices for trying to find ways to get back to being able to work again. So testing out different voice-to-text softwares, because we know the free ones are terrible, but there are paid ones that do improve on spelling and grammar and capturing words correctly. And I've learned a lot about more things I can do more effectively with the trackpad mouse that's very light touch and doesn't require any actual clicking or tapping. And still, the kind of technical work I do, I'm just not able to cross over into without getting away without using my keyboard at all. I still need to get hands on keyboard and click around a lot. I got to the point where I had to go onto disability from work. That started back in January. So that is what has been happening on the neuropathy side of things. Now keep in mind, for those of you who have not experienced cancer personally or with someone close to you, ringing the bell in a treatment center doesn't mean your cancer is gone. It just means you've finished enduring a highly poisonous treatment and you're done with that particular experience. And so there's a celebration. It doesn't mean for sure that your cancer is gone. It doesn't mean you'll never have cancer again. It doesn't mean you're cured. It just means you're done with the toxic dumping experience. And so keep in mind, while I was dealing with, I might never have my hands back, I might never get to do any of the things I enjoy doing, playing piano, building with Legos, crocheting, writing, drawing, my work, the kind of work I love doing, grappling with being a disabled person and not being able to use my hands to do the things I love, I'm also still navigating cancer. And so once you ring that bell, once you're done with active treatment, you're still in surveillance. And what that looks like is regular blood work and regular scans. So right off of treatment, typically what a common surveillance looks like is an imaging scan, like a PET scan or a CT scan every 3 months. And if after a year all of those come back clear, no issues, you might move to a once every 6 month scan. And then after a year or two of those coming back clear, you might move to a once a year scan, right? Because they assume, it's less likely that you're going to see a cancer recurrence over time if you're not seeing them. So while navigating my neuropathy, I'm still surveilling for cancer. So I'm doing the scans, the imaging scans. I'm also getting blood work done. Each time there's a scan, there's usually blood work along with that. And then also there's a ctDNA, I think it's CT for cancer tumor DNA, a Signatera test that's every 6 weeks. And that checks to see if there's any active cancer tumor DNA circulating in my bloodstream, which would imply that some of the cancer was still there and has planted itself somewhere and started growing again. In December, I had my port removed, which, felt like another milestone for me. I was very just like wanting to have that out. It was just another reminder of what I had been through, and every part of me wanted it out of my body. So as soon as I got clearance from my doctor to have it out, I had it out. And I was like so dead set on like, I am done with chemo. I am done with cancer. I am young. I am healthy. Let's go. So that was another big thing. So then I'm getting the scans, I'm doing the blood work, and everything is negative. And then in March, that started to change. In March, the ctDNA came back with just the most tiny minute number, but it was positive. And there was a flurry of concern. We got in for a CT scan, but nothing lit up. Nothing was concerning. Everything looked normal. So we couldn't see active cancer anywhere. And then in April, 6 weeks later, the next ctDNA test came back just slightly higher. And a PET scan was ordered, and still nothing on the image. So, the labs, the blood work is saying something's happening, and the images are saying, well, we don't see anything. And so without a visual of what's happening where, there was like no action to take until we could see what was happening. And I think one of the things that's been so difficult about this past year almost is that I never got to really just, after cancer, go back to living my life. Not that I expected life to go back to normal, because that's never a thing post-cancer, but I never got to really just go back to living. I had cancer, I finished treatment, and then I was navigating a disability and chronic pain and uncertainty about work. I didn't get to go back to my job. I didn't get to go back to my routines. I didn't get to go back to my hobbies. I just was navigating a new problem and a lot of emotions that came with that. And then while navigating that new problem, my cancer is coming back. And so I just haven't even gotten to breathe and live. I've just been continuing to, I guess, struggle, navigate. Yeah. And it's been really frustrating. So the tests are coming back, and we're not seeing anything, And then late May, early June, my next ctDNA is much higher. So the number exponentially is curving. So something is happening. And that PET scan shows I had a hysterectomy back in 2022. My one lone ovary that was left behind is pretty well lit up, and it is slightly enlarged. So July 20th, I go in for an MRI, and there's no question. My ovary is the size of a baseball. And the oncologist I met with after the MRI, same day, was a Monday afternoon. She looks at me and says, "What are you doing Thursday?" And I said, "I'm doing whatever you tell me I'm doing Thursday." So essentially I had 2 days to prepare myself for a significant surgery. She did discover while she was in there that the mass had ruptured prior to the surgery, and some of the cancerous fluid had leaked out into that cavity in my body. The surgeon said she was able to clean all of that up and remove all of that with the cancerous mass. But there is some concern that some of that fluid may have left some cancer cells behind. We're looking at possibilities of whether a type of chemo called HIPEC, which is like a specialized surgery where they go into that same cavity where the reproductive organs live, essentially. They insert like a type of heated chemotherapy treatment into that cavity, and it infuses essentially that lining with the chemo to kill off any cancer cells. So not a solid answer yet on where that's going to go or whether I will have that treatment, but waiting to have a consult with a specialist. So in my last video, I talked about winter and stillness and letting my body rest. I talked about the idea that, with rest, eventually spring would come. And I've thought about that more, and I think I'm still trying to hold hope, but I'm seeing it in a different light. I think back then, for me, spring meant returning to my life, going back to work, getting some of my strength back, getting my hands back, getting back to all the things that I enjoyed and fulfilled me before my life was interrupted by cancer. And I'm starting to understand that resting and healing doesn't always give us the things we used to have. Sometimes there isn't a path back to the life you had before cancer happened, because while cancer is happening, life keeps moving. So I'm trying to learn to live the life that actually exists right now, instead of constantly waiting for the version that I thought I was going to get back. I mention that because I want to share one thing here, and that is that during all of my struggles, both with neuropathy and the return of my cancer, my relationship ended. I had to move to a new place. My job was terminated while I was on disability. And now I'm facing the end of my short-term disability pay in just under 14 weeks, at which point I will have next to no viable way to pay my bills until I figure out how to reduce the pain enough in my hands to be able to return to work. And so I'm asking for help. Some of you who have been following this journey since the beginning know I set up a GoFundMe when I first got diagnosed with cancer. I've put the link in the description. If you're in the position to help, I'm incredibly grateful. And if you're not, sharing my GoFundMe is genuinely helpful too. And that's all I'm going to say about that here, because I don't want this video to be about fundraising. I mostly wanted to come back and tell you where I'm at. I think one of the strangest things about living with cancer is that you don't necessarily get to just walk away from it when treatment ends. Whether it's the scans coming up or it's the damage left behind from treatment. Sometimes it's the weird sensation you're having in some part of your body and getting worried that, is it cancer? Or maybe it's your finances or your work or your relationship that are impacted, because all of these things are changed by what's happened. And sometimes it's literally that your cancer has come back. I don't know that I have some beautiful inspirational message right now about all of this. I'm still very much in it. I'm so scared. I'm overwhelmed. And I'm grieving so many things. And maybe that's enough for today. And if you're navigating your own version of this, whatever that looks like, remember, no matter what you're going through, you're not alone. We're all in this together. Until next time.